Welcome back. We've covered a lot of Python topics, and I know some of them might feel a bit abstract. After all, without real-world applications, it's hard to see their full potential. That's why we do projects like the text adventure game to bring your new skills to life. In this video, we're doing something similar. We're going to explore command line arguments and learn how to handle them using Python's argparse module. Command line arguments let you pass input directly to your scripts when running them from the terminal, making your programs more dynamic and interactive. Let's dive in. So, what are command line tools? They're programs you run directly from the terminal, often without a graphical interface. Instead of clicking buttons, you type commands to execute actions. Now, what are command line arguments? They're extra pieces of information you provide when running a script from the terminal, allowing you to customize its behavior without modifying the code. For example, let's say we run this command. Here, name and age are arguments, and their values, John and 25, are passed into the script. Why is this useful? Because instead of hard coding values, you can make your scripts dynamic and reusable, handling different inputs each time they run. Whether you're automating tasks, building utilities, or processing data, command line arguments give you flexibility without touching the code. They're especially useful when writing scripts that handle files, configuration settings, or user input dynamically. Instead of changing the script every time, you just pass different arguments when running it. To handle command line arguments in Python, we have different options, but we will use the argparse module. It provides a simple and powerful way to define and parse arguments, making our scripts more flexible. Let's see a basic example. This sets up an argument parser with an optional description. This defines a new argument, name, that the script will accept. And finally, this parses the command line arguments and makes them accessible as attributes. If we run this script with, it will output. Simple, right? Now, let's explore how to make this even more powerful by adding multiple arguments and setting default values. Now, let's take our scripts a step further by adding multiple arguments instead of just a name. We'll also accept an age and allow a custom greeting. Required true makes an argument mandatory, so the script won't run without it. Type int ensures age is treated as an integer, helping prevent errors from invalid input. And default hello provides a fallback value for greeting, so it isn't required. To see this in action, run, and the output will be, even if you don't pass greeting, the default hello kicks in. This makes your script much more flexible. You can now pass different inputs every time you run it without modifying the code. So far, we've used optional arguments, which require a -- prefix, but argparse also supports positional arguments, which don't need a prefix and are determined by their position in the command. Unlike optional arguments, positional arguments are mandatory by default. You must provide them when running the script. Here's an example. To execute this script, simply provide the arguments in their correct order. Why use positional arguments? Well, no need for flags, just type the values in order. Useful for required inputs where flags aren't necessary. And keeps command concise for simple scripts. However, since the input order matters, misplacing arguments can lead to errors. That's where argument validation comes in, something we'll explore next. Now that we know how to pass arguments, let's make sure they're valid. Without validation, users could enter unexpected values, leading to errors or incorrect behavior. Luckily, argparse provides built-in ways to enforce data types, value restrictions, and custom validation rules. We've already seen how type int ensures an argument is treated as a number. If a user enters a non-numeric value, Python automatically raises an error. If an argument should only accept specific values, use choices. What if we want to ensure age is within a reasonable range? We can define a custom validation function. If someone enters an invalid age, they'll see. And you might be asking, why does argument validation matter? Well, it prevents unexpected errors in your scripts, it ensures correct and safe input handling, and makes your scripts more user-friendly with clear error messages. By validating inputs, you make your scripts stronger, more reliable, and easier to use. Now, let's see how to handle optional arguments and default values. To make your command line scripts more user-friendly and reliable, here are some best practices when using argparse. Always provide a clear description of what your script does. This helps users, including future you, that's the one you need to be more careful with, understand its purpose. Argparse automatically provides a help message for every argument, making your script self-documenting. By default, it generates a clear description of arguments, but you can customize the help message for better clarity. If you want more customization, you can use metavar to change how the argument appears in help, add default values for missing arguments, and provide description and epilogue in argument parser for extra details. If an argument is optional, set a default value so the script behaves predictably even when it's not provided. Now running, we'll use hello automatically if greeting isn't passed. To prevent errors, use type to ensure arguments are parsed correctly. For example, enforcing numbers where needed. Now if someone runs, they'll get a clear error message instead of a cryptic traceback. Do you remember testing? Before using your scripts in real-world scenarios, test it with different arguments to catch edge cases. Testing ensures your script behaves correctly in all situations and provides helpful error messages when needed. By following these best practices, you'll write argparse scripts that are clear, robust, and easy to use. Now, let's go to a practical example. Let's put what we've learned into action with a real-world example. We're going to create a script that takes a text file and one or more words as a command line argument, searches for those words in the file, and returns the line numbers where each word appears. This could be useful for log analysis, searching documents, or quickly finding keywords in large files. Let's get started. Before we start searching for words, we need to tell our script what file to look in and which words to search for. To keep things simple and intuitive, we'll use positional arguments. This means the user doesn't have to type extra flags like file or words. They just provide the inputs in order. We need a file name, the text file to search in, and one or more words to find inside that file. You might be asking, why positional arguments? Well, instead of making users type something like file name data text or words error warning, we let them directly provide the file name and words in order, like this. This makes the script quicker to use and easier to remember, especially for beginners. You might ask, what is an arg? That sounds like a monster name. Well, args ensures users can provide one or more words to search for, making the script more flexible. Now let's open the file and search for the given words. Let's connect it to our argument parser and run the function. Now if we have a file called sample text and run, it might return. Why is this useful? Imagine having to manually open a massive text file, scrolling endlessly just to find a single word. Sounds exhausting, right? With our script, you don't have to. Instead, you can search for words instantly, without ever opening the file yourself. Even better, you can look for multiple words at once, making it perfect for analyzing logs, scanning documents, or quickly pulling out key information. And don't worry, if the file doesn't exist or something goes wrong, the script handles errors gracefully, so you won't be left guessing what happened. It's amazing how just a few lines of Python can create something so practical and reusable. A tool that saves you time and effort. Instead of manually digging through files, you now have a script that does the work for you. But why stop here? There's always room to improve and expand on what we built. What if the script could count how many times each word appears instead of just showing where it's found? Or maybe highlight words in the output to make them stand out? And wouldn't it be even more useful if the search was case insensitive? The best way to learn is by experimenting and pushing your code further. So go ahead, tweak it, refine it, and make it even better. Who knows? You might just turn it into a powerful tool you'll use all the time. Today, we explored how command line arguments can make your Python scripts more powerful and flexible. We covered everything from optional and positional arguments to real-world applications like searching for words in a text file. Now, here's a challenge for you. Try building a script that takes arguments for a task of your choice. Maybe a calculator that performs quick math, a to-do list manager to track tasks, or even a weather checker that fetches forecasts based on location. The possibilities are endless. Experiment with different argument types, validation, and defaults, and see what you can create. And hey, if you build something cool, let me know in the comments. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Next episode, we're going to dive even deeper into Python intermediate topics. Happy coding, and I'll see you in the next dimension.